What should I try this time? Grill tigerfish! Hit it while it's hot! Oh, what should I try this
A
time?
toast to our success.
Need another handsome Sunday.
Once, there was a glorious king.
Ad Astra Abyssosk. Welcome to the Adventurers Guild. Ad Astra Abyssosk.
My, to what do I owe the pleasure? Though I'm afraid that if you're looking for our little Chi-Chi, she's out gathering herbs. And if it isn't Miss Yanfei as well, now that's an even rarer honor. I inquire? Some charlatans peddling...
No. I'm here this time to ask if you're familiar with Smaragdus Jadeite.
Smaragdus Jadeite? Why, yes, there is some information about it included in the 6th commentary on the 7 Mountain Treatises. The 7 Mountain Treatises states that this substance springs forth from stone marrow within the mountains, and will bring disaster to any mere mortals who touch it. It is abundant in elemental energy, so if someone without a vision is in contact with it for a prolonged period, best case scenario, they fall ill. Worst case scenario, they'll suffer great changes in personality and their illness will only ever get worse. Anyway, I'm sure you didn't come all this way just to chit-chat. Knowing you, Yanfei, and given the specific nature of your question, I suppose that you're about to ask me to write an official affidavit attesting to the pharmaceutical peculiarities of Smaragdus jadeite?
That is indeed the case. If you would be so kind, Dr. Baizhu.
No trouble at all. It's just a single document. Won't take me a moment. I would mention, though, that you are not the only one who's developed a curiosity for Smaragdus jadeite recently. A Snezhnayan merchant came to ask me about it not long ago. But after I gave him my reply, his expression shifted to one of remarkable disappointment. I wonder, Miss Yanfei, if your pressing business might be related to this Snezhnayan merchant?
Ah, you needn't concern yourself about that, Dr. Baizhu. Thank you for penning us that document. I'll make sure to compensate you in due course.
You're too kind. Take care now.
That Baizhu guy is as weird as ever. Is it just Paimon, or does it feel like he was fishing for something back there?
Dr. Baizhu's always been like that. Well, we have the evidence we need. Let's go find Mr. Crossell.
Miss Yanfei, have you finished your investigation? I trust you will now be in a position to assess the compensation due.
Yes, my investigation is indeed concluded.
Wonderful. Well then, please, could you do the honors, Miss Yanfei?
Of course. According to the stipulations of the contract, Mr. Crossell, you must pay Mr. Chow 10 times the original transaction price in Mora.
Sure. Wait, what? Me pay her? Surely there's been some kind of mistake, Miss Yanfei.
Not at all. According to my investigations and the material evidence that we've gathered, the substance claimed to be Smaragdus jadeite that was inlaid within the Smaragdus jadeite twin phoenix pins that you rented out to Mr. Chow was, in fact, Smaragdus nephrite. Now, the contract states very clearly that 10 times the price shall be paid should the article not be genuine. Accordingly, you are liable for this sum, which is payable to Mr. Chow in Mora.
Material evidence? What material evidence? Why, Miss Yanfei, you cannot frame me like this. I spent a huge sum to obtain that Smaragdus jadeite, and yet you claim that the ore inlaid on the hairpins is somehow fake? I demand to see your evidence.
Indeed. Only a testimony from an expert witness involved in the processing of the ore can serve as an authoritative assessment of whether it is genuine. Traveler, please produce the evidence in question. If we want to determine whether the ore is genuine, we need to start with evidence from the Jade Mystery. This is a processing record from the Jade Mystery, along with stone samples and an affidavit signed by the business owner, Chateau.
Seriously? Even the boss there couldn't differentiate between Smaragdus jadeite and Smaragdus nephrite. How does this prove anything? In any case, Smaragdus nephrite is the outer layer of Smaragdus jadeite. So I had him cut away the nephrite, he returned the valuable jadeite core to me, and some nephrite samples remain in the store. What am I missing exactly?
That's an unsubstantiated belief.
Well, your claim that my ore is fake is just as unsubstantiated. And we are here to talk about evidence, aren't we?
Ugh. Looks like our first piece of evidence didn't convince him at all. Seems like he came prepared. What should we do next?
Hard evidence, something legally binding. We have just the thing. Show him.
This document proves that my hairpins are the real deal, doesn't it? This is the Ministry's seal, after all. It shows that the ore inlaid on the pins is indeed Smaragdus jadeite.
Our second piece of evidence didn't work either.
You know, you could be right. Perhaps the.
Of course I'm right. All the evidence shown supports my story.
Well, hang on a moment now, because I do recall one final piece of evidence that we haven't revealed yet. Traveler, would you do the honors? This shall serve as
What's this?
Smaragdus jadeite springs forth from stone marrow within the mountains and will bring disaster to any mere mortals who touch it. Sustained contact with Smaragdus jadeite over a prolonged period will, in less serious cases, cause a mild malady, while in serious cases, the patient may suffer a dramatic change of personality and fall seriously ill. Mr. Crossell, were you aware of these peculiar properties of Smaragdus jadeite?
I had no idea.
No idea, you say? I'd guessed as much. But for you to have rented out such a dangerous item, I'm afraid that this falls outside the scope of my work, but within that of the Ministry of Civil Affairs. However, I'm sure that the Ministry will be relatively lenient considering that, as you say, you were ignorant of the danger you posed. Don't worry, Mr. Crossell. I will make sure that all the evidence presented here will be handed over to the Ministry. I trust that you'll give them your full cooperation in their investigations.
What? Wait! I knew.
Oh, so you knew? Oh, dear Mr. Crossell. But if you knew of Smaragdus jadeite's dangerous properties beforehand, why would you...
Huh? No,
Aren't actually inlaid with genuine Smaragdus jadeite? Is that what you were about to say? You do understand, Mr. Crossell, that this means that you will have to pay Ms. Zerchow 10 times the original price in Mora? Mr. Crossell, your answer, please. My client and I are waiting.
Yep, he's seriously intimidating right now. It's like she's a different person.
I admit it. I confess. The ore I had inlaid on those hairpins was Smaragdus nephrite. But I'm a victim in all of this too. I invested a great deal of time and money into acquiring that small amount of Smaragdus jadeite, in the hopes of turning it into a piece of jewelry that would fetch. Receiving it and carrying it around for a few days, I started to feel extreme discomfort. I couldn't sleep a wink or eat a single bite. I was in a constant state of agitation, too. I went to Boo Boo Pharmacy. Stone cannot be worn as jewelry. But how could I let all that money go to waste? That's why I had another pair of hairpins made from Smaragdus nephrite, which is almost indistinguishable from Smaragdus jadeite. I kept the real Smaragdus jadeite in a specially made box. I daren't touch it again. I was worried that someone would see through it, which is why I only dared to rent them out, not sell them. And then to top it all off, Zhiqiao lost the hairpins after I rented them out to her.
Exactly. If they weren't the real deal, why'd you make her pay so much?
I didn't want to either, but when I purchased that Smaragdus jadeite, some of my business partners found out. I knew they'd be watching closely to see how much I could make off it. If word got out that I sold a pair of fake hairpins, then my days in this line of business would be over.
All right, let's cut the appeals phase right there. I failed to see what bearing any of this has on your transaction with my client. According to the contract, you must pay Ms. Zerchow 10 times the original price in Mora, and that is final.
10 times?
Crossell looks like he could faint any second.
As for me, According to my contract with Mr. Chow, 20% of that sum will go to me.
20%? That's as much as I spent on that Smaragdus Jadeite!
There's no need. It's fine. You don't have to pay me that much, Mora. Even if the Smaragdus Jadeite on those hairpins was fake, I still bear responsibility for losing them. Legally or not, I think I owe some compensation for that.
Ms. Jichao, you...
However, Mr. Crossell, since you have no use for that chunk of Smaragdus Jadeite, why don't you give it to me instead? I'll consider us even.
What? But all right, then. This cursed rock's brought me enough grief as it is.
Miss Yunfei, I'll turn this Smaragdus Jadeite over to you. I trust that it will suffice as remuneration?
Well, that's not quite how the rules say this should go. But whatever. It'll do.
Thanks so much for your help this time, Miss Yunfei. When you have the time, I'll be sure to visit and express my thanks more appropriately.
Oh, come on. No need to stand on ceremony. Now.
Well
then, that's good. Mr. Crossell, it seems that my client has no further claims against you.
Is that so? That's good. That's good.
Actually, Mr. Crossell, I'd like to talk business for a second if I may. I could see from the hairpins you produce that you're very skilled in jewelry design. My family, on the other hand, works in the ore business, and we have a fair stock of fine ores. If we could join forces, your jewelry designs and our choice ores, I think we could do some fine business between us.
Let me think for a moment.
Well, that's that. And we've got the Smaragdus Jadeite that Granny wants too. All's well that ends well, eh?
Exactly. Usually when someone tells us they've lost something, we end up searching all over the place for it. Even though the solution didn't involve actually finding the hairpins.
The right solution depends on your perspective on the problem. The objective of my client, Mr. Chow, was to reduce her liability to pay compensation. So, rather than looking high and low for some hairpins, proving that the rented item was nowhere near worth what the vendor had claimed it to be was the more efficient solution. An Adeptus. Speaking of, you took part in that battle, didn't you? Liyue Harbor is now a city ruled by humans. The title of Adeptus means precious little to me compared to my job as a legal advisor. In any case, don't you think that the Liyue Harbor of today needs legal consultancy far more than it needs adeptal powers?
Paimon can think of someone who would definitely disagree with your reasoning.
Well, since we got what we came for, it's time to pay Granny a visit. I bet she's been on tenterhooks for a while now.